A Joe Burrow deal not looking very close. What's that mean for fantasy? It actually means something very, very good. It's very positive news. The more this guy's in the news, the more people are talking about him, the higher his ADP will climb. We've seen it all the time. Fickle Philly in your fantasy draft, he'll go out and draft Joe Burrow a whole 5 spots ahead of where he normally would just because he got a big fat payday. People are fickle. And it's really, really good news that Joe Burrow has not signed his extension yet. Good for us, not good for him. It's coming, though. It's coming. At some point during this offseason, Joseph, the cigar-smoking Burrow, will become the highest-paid quarterback in the National Football League and the highest-paid player in the National Football League. He's getting burrowed. Joe Burrow himself will get burrowed at some point. Burrowed left and right, and people are going to remember it.
Get burrowed.
But it's good news he hasn't got burrowed yet. So keep stealing him away. We'll talk about that on the flip side of the intro. And then we also have Darnold, Jimmy G news. Darnold taking first team reps. Jimmy's potentially going to get cleared like we said he'd skate by. We're talking about all that and more. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
So let's get to the Joe Burrow situation real quickly. Then we'll go over to Sam Darnold, who took all the first team reps, apparently a majority of them, in practice. And to be fair, it sounds like the Niners will rotate. Trey Lance tomorrow will take a majority of first team reps. Sam Darnold would take them the next day. They seem to be some sort of 50-50 rotation between the two quarterbacks. We'll get to that in a minute, as well as Jimmy G and what that means for all of the we don't care about Jimmy G's fantasy value. We don't care about Sam Darnold's fantasy value. Smitty, why are you out here talking about this? Number one, it's breaking news. This is all breaking news as of the past few minutes. Okay, so this is not me coming out to pull in more Jimmy G hate and just spew about it. These are all brand new topics that affect your fantasy football value of all the players involved. We don't care about Jimmy G. We care about Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams. Smitty, what about my Adams shares? What about Devontae Adams, Smitty? What about Debo? What about Christian McCaffrey? All that is impacted by these individuals right here, so we got to go over it, and it's all brand new. Joe Burrow will climb into round 3 on the regular if he signs a fat new contract. So we don't want him signing a brand new deal right now. We want at least another month or so of stealing him away in the 4th round over and over and over again. Just taking candy from a baby in the 4th round, sometimes top of 5. We've done underdog fantasy drafts where this guy's gone in the 5th round. And let me tell you something. This right here, Joseph Cigar Smoking Burrow, look at this. Look at this beauty right here. Joe Burrow is not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not QB5. He is QB6 on Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. Use promo code Smitty. The link in the description of the video. The link in every description of every video. Use code Smitty or the link and get up to $100 bonus match. Guys, we're drafting tonight. Where do we draft Joe Burrow tonight in our drafts? And are you going to be ready for the draft? Let me drop that link in the live chat right now for all of you that want to draft with me tonight, because you won't get in if you don't click that right this second and sign up and get ready to go. Otherwise, you're not getting in the draft. You're not going to make it into the draft. Plain and simple, okay? It's that simple. Now, if Joe Burrow signed his contract today and got paid the biggest deal we've seen in NFL history, he would climb to at least one QB spot, and he would climb probably 5 to 7 draft slots overall. Why? Because people are talking about it. Because Fickle Philly over here that doesn't know what he's doing, Petrified Peter, Worried William, Bob from accounting, all these individuals will say to themselves, I don't really know what I'm thinking here. I can't think for myself. And if this guy's getting paid the biggest contract in NFL history and he's the number one quarterback, that must mean he's good. So I'm going to go ahead and draft him earlier now. He's on top of mind. On top of mind, increased ADP. That's how it works. So this is great news. Let's hope and pray Joe Burrow gets a fat contract that he deserves, but he gets it just a little bit later. Not yet, Joe. Not yet. Hold off. Let some people get burrowed for a little bit. People are getting burrowed left and right, and people are going to remember it.
Get burrowed.
And this is coming from Ian Rappaport. He said the wait will continue. Nothing seems intimate. He doesn't think a contract's going to happen anytime very soon. There was talk about, hey, do players hold in instead of holding out? Clearly, Joe's not going to hold out. You get fined too heavy in today's NFL, and you can't waive those fines. Back in the day, Zeke Elliott used to hold out for months. And then he'd accrue millions of dollars in fines. And then you knew as soon as he signed his contract, they'd waive the fines. He'd never pay them. Nobody would ever pay the fines when they held out. Holding out was easy. That was easy stuff. That was light work back in the day. Now, if you hold out, you're screwed out of that money. You don't get it waived. You have to pay it. It's mandatory. No players can hold out anymore. They'll hold in. Holding in means you show up. Oh, yeah, my knee's a little tight. I'm going to go ahead and sit out until I get paid. I'm going to show up. I'm going to be on the field. I'm going to be in the facility. You can't find me. You can't say I'm not here, but I'm going to hold in. And that is not going to happen with this beautiful man right here, Joe Burrow. There's no way this guy plays ball like that. Okay, he's not holding in. He's not holding in, but he will get paid. This organization respects him. They understand him. They know what they got, and they know their fan base wants it. They know everybody wants it. They know the entire NFL wants it. He will 100% get paid. Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. Use that link right there. Let me pin it right now so you guys have it. Pin it, do it live. If it doesn't work, maybe you're not able to do Underdog Fantasy in your state. I'm not sure what state you're in. Joseph Cigar Smoking Burrow. All right, let's move on to this dreaded topic that we continue to discuss. And, it is what it is. It is what it is. It is news that needs to be discussed. Sam Darnold is taking first-team reps. Here is the report right here, I believe. Sam Darnold saw the lion's share of first-team reps in 49ers' first vet minicamp practice. Now, the important part here, I know a lot of people are going to say, Smitty, they're going to rotate. First of all, that's not good news. Rotating means they don't see him as the starter. They clearly want to make it a competition, and they view Sam Darnold important enough to give half of the reps. So don't argue that as a good stance for you. Oh, well, Smitty, they're just rotating. That's bad. That's bad news. Number one, this is the first. Read this right here. Lion's share of first-team reps at the 49ers' first vet minicamp practice. So he doesn't open up as a starter. Right now, this should tell you Sam Darnold is the lean. Shanahan and the Niners, this coaching staff that has a very good scheme. He's an offensive savant, this Kyle Shanahan, but he's a pitiful decision maker with big personnel decisions. He's awful. He's the worst offensive decision maker in terms of personnel in the NFL. Plain and simple. And you can come in with your hot take and you can say this, you can say that. But this guy's making mistakes all of the time with the big decisions. When to cut Jimmy G. Jimmy G was released in the minds of everybody. He said goodbye. Jimmy G gave a goodbye speech last year. Went to the podium, said goodbye. They took his playbook away. He wasn't even able to practice on the field. He was running on the sideline by himself like an injured dog. It was sad. I actually said, a little nostalgia here. Even me, I was like, I feel bad for Jimmy. He's running on the sideline, can't even be with the team. They, in all intents and purposes, released him. Okay? And Shanahan held on to him, trying to trade him over and over and over. Punch that thumb up button, 95 of you in here. Trying to trade him, and he waited too long, screwed the pooch. They had to bring Jimmy G back. Shanahan tucked his tail between his legs, brought Jimmy G back, didn't protect Trey Lance, didn't use what they could have gotten draft capital for Jimmy G, even if they sold him dirt cheap to try and protect and the money involved, the $20+ million tied up in Jimmy G, they could have used in free agency to protect Trey Lance. So don't tell me it worked out in the end, Smitty. They were able to use Jimmy G. That was not Shanahan's plan. He screwed the pooch. He continues to make horrible decisions and decided to elect to go after plan B, which was Jimmy G versus protecting plan A, Trey Lance. Trey Lance is set up for failure. And this whole thing of first vet minicamp practice, you roll out Sam Darnold as your starter. Don't tell me that doesn't indicate he's the lead dog. He's the lead dog. In fact, why do I have Trey Lance in front of Sam Darnold in this graphic? Because honestly, it should look like that. And let me make Trey a little smaller because Trey isn't believed in. Trey's here and Sam Darnold is right here. This is how it should look because that's how the Niners see this situation. And if anybody in here says, don't worry, Trey Lance is going to win the job, I've got a bridge to sell you. I've got one of those cone helmets to sell you. Where is that thing? If you believe that Trey Lance is going to start week 1, I've got one of these to sell you. These prevent concussions. If you wear them during the preseason, we'll have less concussions than ever. I'll sell you one of these right now. Instead of a bridge, I'll sell you a cone head, bro. This is a disaster. And the Niners, if Purdy isn't ready for week 1 and they shove Sam Darnold out there, you're 0-1. I don't even think McCaffrey or the Niner defense can save this situation in week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense that's going to be gunning for this quarterback. Like Christian McCaffrey is going to be on the road to injury if you're running these kind of circus games at your quarterback position. Musical chairs at quarterback. Christian McCaffrey is going to get worked into the ground. This is all, someone might say, Smitty, why are we talking about Darnold and Jimmy G? Because it affects all of the fantasy players linked to the situation. Sam Darnold is bad for Christian McCaffrey. Sam Darnold is bad for Deebo Samuel. Not being confident in Trey Lance is bad for Deebo Samuel. It's bad for George Kittle. If you think that George Kittle is going to be able to be open long enough, break off a blocking assignment and run some sort of delayed route, if you think Trey Lance still has the football at that point, you're kidding yourself. This is Jimmy G all over again because guess what? Shanahan doesn't trust Trey Lance to have him be a pocket passer. He called him a dual threat, which means George Kittle is goodbye. You won't see George Kittle at all in the first few weeks if Trey Lance is starting or Sam Darnold is starting. You won't see the football held onto long enough for George Kittle to even get open. That's why he disappeared, went dormant like a bear, hibernated for a little while, over a year, because Jimmy G couldn't get the football to him. This guy right here, Sam Darnold, you have the Niners lead beat writer. What's his name? Matt Maiocco. Matt Maiocco saying something. What did he say? Where is this? I have Matt Maiocco saying a garbage take like this. This is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life. Look at this. This is from Matt Maiocco. Maiocco, whatever the hell his name is. This is the Niners lead beat writer. The Niners lead beat writer. This is the leader of the beat writers. Matt Maiocco believes Sam Darnold might be the most talented thrower in Niners history. That is probably the worst take I have ever seen in my entire 20 plus years of doing this professionally. I haven't seen something so bad as this in my entire life. My entire professional career. I've never seen somebody misjudge football like this guy, Matt Maiocco, believes Sam Darnold might be the most talented thrower in 49ers history. I just don't understand. Is this guy 12 years old? Did he never see the two quarterbacks named Steve Young and Joe Montana that played football for the Niners? What is this guy saying? What is this guy talking about? This is the lead beat writer for the San Francisco 49ers that everybody seems to relish and call the best sports reporter for the Niners. Sam Darnold might be the most talented thrower in 49ers history. I don't know. This guy hit his head. I don't know. But someone should send an ambulance over there and check on this man because he thinks Sam Darnold is out there throwing missiles and dimes all over the place. And apparently Kyle Shanahan agrees. All of your Debo shares, all of your Ayuk shares, all of your Kittle shares, all of your Christian McCaffrey shares are volatile while this situation continues to crap the bed, while Kyle Shanahan continues to screw up personnel decisions over and over and over. And everybody says, oh, he's so good, he almost got Coach of the Year, Smitty. Who are you? Who are you sitting behind a desk? I don't care what you think. You either watch the show, you either respect the opinion of the show, or you don't. I don't really care. I care about all the people that believe in the show. I care about all my awesome viewers, but the haters that will trickle in is what I'm talking about, saying, oh, Smitty, what do you know? What do you know? I know more than this guy. If he thinks that Sam Darnold might be the most talented thrower in 49er history, I know that Kyle Shanahan botched Jimmy G, didn't release him, screwed up the Trey Lance experiment, traded 3 first-rounders and some for Trey Lance, hasn't used him, started him against the Texans, he won that game. Trey Lance, playoff implication game, wins against the Texans. What does he do? He pulls him from the lineup. You don't start your rookie QB, have him win a game, and you pull him from the lineup. What kind of moron does that? What kind of coach starts his rookie quarterback he gave up 3 first-rounders for, didn't play him all year, decides to finally start him at the end of the year in week 16, week 17. He goes out there, wins a playoff implication game, sends the Niners to the playoffs, and what does Kyle Shanahan do? Removes him from the lineup, benches him, raptures him from the lineup, and says, go in, Jimmy G, and lose us a playoff. Go in, Jimmy G. Go lose like you always do. Oh, he's such a winning quarterback. Yeah, sure. Winning is a team stat. And Jimmy G has been riding the coattails of the 49ers winning machine for a while. And everybody tries to link Jimmy G to wins. I'm sorry. The Raider fans are going to find out the hard way. And we'll get to Jimmy G in a second. Because this guy's a mess. This guy's an absolute mess, and he's screwing things up over in Las Vegas like he did in San Francisco. And this San Francisco staff is so upset at Jimmy G. He didn't return phone calls. He hid his injury. He hid that he needed surgery until it was too late to cut him. Then he announced he needed surgery at the Combine when they couldn't trade him and ruined all of his trade value. They had already said goodbye to him. And he had to come back. Do you know how pissed off Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch were when they botched it because it was their fault for not cutting him and worrying about it was like $4 or $5 million that they could try and, if they cut him, it was like $21 million they'd get back. They'd lose like $5 or $6 million by releasing him. They wanted to get that $5 or $6 million. They wanted to trade him. They wanted to figure out a way to trade him. They held on to him too long. Then the injury became known, and then they couldn't cut him. And then guess what? You're stuck with him. You're stuck with him, and he ruined your season. You were stuck with Jimmy G because you made a stupid decision, Kyle Shanahan, and then you lost. You lost because of your dumb decision. Your dumb decision to run Trey Lance up the middle like he's Derrick Henry. Your dumb decision not to protect Trey Lance. Your dumb decision to not get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo when you had a chance to get $20+ million back, to then invest in the offensive line, to then invest in protecting Trey Lance. Your dumb decision over and over and over. This is not a guy that makes smart personnel decisions. Waiting to sign Deebo Samuel when you're going to do it anyway. And you make the guy upset and the whole fan base upset. The whole fan base was attacking Deebo Samuel over and over. I remember because I did a live stream defending Deebo. And I said the fan base is being really cruel and they're not being fair to Deebo Samuel, who literally put his body on the line, running the ball, becoming a running back. The whole running back room gets hurt in this scheme. So what's Debo do? Steps up and shortens his career and says, I got this, coach. You get me in the offseason, I'll be your starting running back. You're down a guy, you're down 5 guys, I'll be your starting running back. Debo goes out there and plays out of his mind and plays one of the best wide receiver seasons I've ever seen in the NFL. Ever. Most unique season for a wide receiver I've ever seen. This guy walks out and becomes a between the tackles running back. As a wide receiver. Blows up. Has an amazing season. Leads, I believe he led the league or he's second in yak yards. I believe he led the league or he's second in yards per catch, which is an unbelievable stat and feat given he caught nothing but 2-yard or negative yard passes from Jimmy G, who said, here, take it, Debo, take it. I don't know how to throw. And Debo did. He took it to the house very often. And what does Shanahan do? Where the Niner ways to wait. And Debo Samuel's just watching wide receivers get paid money. Watching wide receivers move and Tyreek Hill go elsewhere, get the bag. Watch Devontae Adams go elsewhere and get the bag. And Debo Samuel's just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. Maybe getting low ball offers. We don't even know how that went down. But that situation created so much animosity between Debo and the fan base. That situation didn't allow Debo to build rapport with Trey Lance because he wasn't signed and in there. There's so many implications involved. I'm telling you right now, I'm worried about Christian McCaffrey being overworked, run into the ground, and being injured. I'm worried about Debo Samuel having any sort of consistency in 2023. I'm worried about Ayuk ever being noticed and ever being fed properly and consistently. And I'm worried about Kittle vanishing. And I'm worried about the defense getting run down because when the defense is on the field constantly, they get banged up and hurt. And this number 1 defense in the National Football League, this offense full of all of these weapons that arguably are the number 1 offense in the National Football League outside of the quarterback position at wide receiver, tight end, running back. There's no more weapons than that. Philly can give them a run for their money, but that's it. This offense is loaded. And this guy can't get a quarterback in here. If Sam Darnold starts week 1, it's 0-1. If Sam Darnold starts week 2, you're going to be hard pressed. You'll probably beat the Rams with your defense. Probably. But this is an awful situation. Trey Lance's confidence has to be at an all-time low right now. This guy's confidence, 3 first-rounders, he can't even crack the number 2 quarterback job because Brock Purdy's already been anointed the starter. They haven't even given Trey Lance a chance to beat him out. Trey Lance never even played with CMC. Trey Lance never played with CMC. Brock Purdy did, and Trey Lance isn't even getting a shot. And this is the first, where's my graphic here? This is the first vet minicamp practice, and Sam Darnold led the way. Don't tell me the rotation is going to make you feel all warm and cozy at night and make you feel real safe about Trey Lance's pecking order here and his spot in the pecking order. Don't tell me you're confident that the rotation is normal. He started in the first vet minicamp. This guy, Sam Darnold, started. Trey Lance did not. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? It's awful. It's awful. I feel bad for Niner fans right now because they defend Shanahan, and I don't know why. They keep saying this guy's almost coach of the year, Smitty. Why was he almost coach of the year? Because of Christian McCaffrey. If they did not acquire Christian McCaffrey, which I have good authority to believe is more John Lynch than it was Kyle Shanahan pushing for that trade, even though there's ties to both families. There is ties to both families. But I've had on good authority that was more of a John Lynch move than it was a Shanahan move. And if that didn't happen, Kyle Shanahan would have been on the hot seat coming out of the season because the Niners wouldn't have made the playoffs. Christian McCaffrey's the glue. Christian McCaffrey was the best trade that any team could have made. And the Niners did it. You got to give the Niners organization credit for going and getting CMC while other teams sat on their hands. This is the glue of the team. But I've got news for you. The Niners have a 1, not a 2 to 3, a 1 to 2 year window of staying even remotely close to the same team. They will be far different in 2 to 3 years. They have a 1 to 2 year window to win a Super Bowl. And they've got this mess of a situation still going on at the quarterback position. Punch that thumb up button on your way in the door. So now on over, before we hit the phone lines, Jimmy Garoppolo, this is just crazy. This situation with Jimmy G. It's nonstop with this guy. The Niners, if you ask a Niner fan, ask a true Niner fan what they think of Jimmy G and the way he hid his injury to the Niners, to the Niner fan base, to everybody, so that he could manipulate his way back onto the roster in 2022. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't announce that he needed surgery until it was too late to do anything about it, and he was stuck on the roster in 2022 in San Francisco, and it worked out in a horrible fashion. Okay? This report here from Ian Rappaport says that barring any setbacks, it looks like Jimmy Garoppolo foot surgery is expected to be ready for training camp. If he fails his physical, the Raiders can release him outright and not be punished at all and get their money back. Because this guy showed up after he after he agreed in principle to a contract, showed up, didn't tell them he was injured, and failed his physical. And so they had to, instead of pulling out of the signing to save face, they said, you know what? We're gonna remove your bonus, your what was it, $10 million, $7 million, whatever it was, signing bonus, and we're gonna work that in his salary. And you don't get it unless you pass your physical. Jimmy G, lying Jimmy G, who holds back all this. Snake oil Jimmy G, who's got the smile, $1 million smile. Everybody thinks he's the nicest guy in the world, changes cultures, is amazing. This guy smiles when he throws 4 interceptions at the podium. Says, hey, a great day today. No, you lost the game. Stop smiling. Wipe that smirk off your face, Jimmy. You just threw 4 INTs and lost the game. Trey Lance goes down with injury. This guy immediately smiles and just runs out onto the field. I get it. He gets to play. He's excited. But he showed no, empathy for Trey Lance. Did go up and hug him. I get all that. He's going to do that. But this guy was smiling and grinning the moment Trey went down. No sign of worry or concern for him when the injury immediately happened. He went out and smiled. This guy smiles about everything. He doesn't take anything seriously. And this guy's gonna go in and be the savior of the Las Vegas Raiders. Say goodbye to Davante Adams. Say goodbye to Josh Jacobs. Those guys are gonna be worth half the price after week 2. After week 2 or 3, if Jimmy Garoppolo is under center, and this is what I told everybody was going to happen, because there was a report a few weeks ago that said that if he doesn't pass his physical and the team reworked his contract because he lied to them, if they reworked his contract and if he didn't pass his physical, they could get out of the contract and they could release him. I told you, it's not going to come to that. Jimmy's so good at what he does, this snake oil, he'll squeeze in and figure out a way to pass his physical just in the nick of time. They're not getting rid of him. There's no way they're getting rid of him. We do live drafts tonight, every night. Hey, Smitty, when do we draft live? Very, very, very easy. Number 1, I'm live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm live whenever news breaks like this video here. This is when we draft. Smitty, are we drafting? Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we do a Panic Chamber Tuesdays, but I usually drop like a Garrett Wilson draft link or something on Tuesday night. We usually do something, but these are the cemented in draft nights. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Doesn't change. Tuesday, we usually do something at the end of the Panic Chamber. So get ready for that. Jimmy Garoppolo, get ready for your shares to tank of Jacobs. Jacobs is facing 8-man fronts all day long. Jacobs isn't going to be able to see the end zone. If this guy's got 20/20 vision, maybe he could see the end zone barely. But if this guy can't, if this guy's got even something close, less than 20/20, just even slightly less, he can't even squint to see the pylons. They're going to be so far away from the end zone half the time. 3 and out, hitting a brick wall, 3.5 yards per carry. Yeah, maybe some dump off, sure. Yeah, some catches for lost yardage. Do you think this guy's going to get this football down the field on the regular? Your only hope if you own Josh Jacobs and Davante Adams, because this guy throws hospital balls. This guy's not a vertical threat. He can't throw vertical for his life. And anybody says Adams is Adams, he'll get his. Adams will eat. Don't worry. You don't know what you're talking about because Adams has only had a vertical threat quarterback. He's only had Derek Carr. He's only had Aaron Rodgers. And both those guys throw missiles down the field constantly, and they laser lock on one wide receiver like Big Ben did with Antonio Brown. This guy Adams has never played with the quarterback that doesn't laser lock, that can't throw more than 12 yards down the field, that throws hospital balls that will get him injured. Davante Adams, as you know it, is no longer Davante Adams. Could he rebound in some way, shape, or form? Absolutely could. Absolutely could. Davante Adams, if he gets traded out of Las Vegas, which could happen mid-season, if they bring in another quarterback like Wentz, maybe Adams eats but doesn't get the touchdowns, 4, 5, 6 touchdowns on the year, but maybe he gets the yardage somehow, some way with Wentz, but not anything close to what he was doing yardage-wise. He'll be a very watered-down version of Davante Adams. As of right now, he's not even a watered-down version of Davante Adams. Jacobs is not even a watered-down version of Josh Jacobs. This guy destroys all the fantasy value and appeal of Las Vegas Raider players. Tread lightly, enter into these situations at your own risk, and don't say I didn't tell you so, and the phone lines are open.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Phone lines are open. Dial into the show. I appreciate you all being here. I'll put the phone number on the screen. But that is the news for the moment. Dial in if you've got anything. And if you want to, discuss the counterpoints to any of this, absolutely. Absolutely come in. Let's see. Adams still might get suspended, too, for pushing that reporter. I don't know. I think we would have heard something by now on that. I don't think that's a threat. I wouldn't consider that a part of why you'd avoid him. But I think that all the other parts are enough to say why even draft him in the second round. Olave's in round 2. Like, why go near him when you can get Olave? Why go near him when you can get Breece Hall? Why go near him when you can... I would rather go after a Jahan Dotson way later as my wide receiver target and go Jalen Hurts shopping in round 2. Why go after... let me ask you a question. Would you take Jalen Hurts and Jahan Dotson over Davante Adams and a quarterback you're getting in round 7 or 8? Assuming that, you don't get T. Law down in the 8 territory, but Jahan Dotson is going around 8. We'll call it round 8, round 9. You could get Jahan Dotson in 8 or 9, who could arguably outscore Davante Adams. Don't shake your head. Don't shake your head. Jahan Dotson is going to break out, and even if he doesn't, he's probably scoring what Adams is scoring. Even if he disappoints, he probably scores what Adams scores, unless Adams gets traded mid-season and he has a very slow weeks 1 through 7 or 8, and then he gets traded to a great situation like Buffalo or something crazy like that, and then Adams is able to do something. But I'd much rather go secure quarterback or running back shopping in round 2 than go Davante Adams. If Adams falls into round 3, I can understand the situation. Round 3 is very different landscape than round 2, but at current ADP value, where Adams is in round 2, safely nestled into round 2, give me the quarterback. I'd rather go early quarterback shopping. I'd rather go Hurts or Mahomes, even though I love Joe Burrow around 4 or 5. If I'm stuck in a spot where I'm looking at Adams and a bunch of players, like I get sniped and I'm sitting there at 18 and Adams is there. I don't care if it's 18 and I'm sitting there and Olave's gone and I'm like, God, all the guys I want are gone. I'll take Mahomes or Hurts or Josh Allen in a millisecond and go wide receiver later. I don't need Adams there. Adams does me no good there. That's all downside in round 2. Because even in a perfect world, Jimmy's not throwing him 10 plus touchdowns. Jimmy may somehow, some way, if the offense is schemed around short passes to Adams and they're smart enough to do that, and they can implement it in a way that works, which it won't, because this team has the bottom 5 defense in the National Football League. Their field position is going to be awful. That leads to a lot more 3 and outs, and it's going to be a disaster from the jump. Ron, you're live.
Huh?
You're live.
Oh, I thought you said I was late.
Mars Man Run. By the way, these cards are going out. Go ahead.
Bo Callahan to quarterback the San Francisco 49ers. Donald.
Here we go. This is Bo Callahan reminds me of Jimmy G. I'm just going to put Bo Callahan right here in front of Jimmy G.
You reminds me of Sam Darnold. Ever since that movie came out, when that movie came out, I thought of Sam Darnold, and that was the same time that Sam Darnold was coming out. I thought, there's Bo Callahan live, right there.
All right, let's put Bo Callahan up for Sam Darnold too. It reminds me of both of them. Bo Callahan.
Yeah.
You guys hear Bo Callahan took first team reps in Niners. We should do a little spoof on that. Let's do it real quickly. Ron, hang tight real quick. I'm going to cut this up. Ready? Just hang tight real quick.
From the fantasyfootballshow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
Breaking news just in. Bo Callahan has now taken first team reps for the 49ers in the first vet practice. Bo Callahan is now the starting quarterback for the San Francisco just messed it up. For the San Francisco 49ers. And now Trey Lance gets traded where, Ron? Where's Trey Lance getting traded?
Cleveland.
Can you imagine that? I don't know where Trey can go. He'll go somewhere pathetic where he can't even do anything. He'll go to Tennessee. He'll go to I don't know. Bo Callahan. Also, this just in, nobody attended Bo Callahan's birthday party. So we're not expecting this to work out well. And nobody attended Trey Lance's birthday party either. The Niners are in trouble.
Yeah, but you remember, he's the only one to have the balls to tell the lie and have the balls to stick up for the lie.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, Scott, call in if you disagree with anything that I'm saying. I would love for a Niner fan to call in, especially media, who always talks tough in the chat, and then when he calls in, he agrees with me. Scott, you want to call in too? I got jokes all day long because this situation's a joke. The way Shanahan runs his quarterback room is an absolute joke. Shanahan, as a quarterback decision maker, understand what I'm saying. Scheme-wise, I'm not talking about scheme. Offensive savant and play calling and play creation and scheme creation. I'm not ripping on Kyle Shanahan. Offensive quarterback decision making, joke. Shanahan is a joke of a decision maker when it comes to quarterbacks. When it comes to picking a quarterback, deciding when to jump off and leap into the ocean and go feet first. He doesn't know what he's doing. Shanahan, I don't know what it is about Shanahan where he craps the bed with quarterbacks, but he doesn't know quarterbacks. Call me up and debate me. Call me up and tell me how great he is.
Hey, Smitty.
Yeah.
Guess what?
What?
TJ Watt is going to take Devontae Mack's role. He's going to watch me sack him 4 times in one game. That's going to be the opening game.
I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see him versus Bo Callahan. He's going to rip Bo Callahan's head off. Lance to the Lions. You know what? I wouldn't hate it, but I don't know that they need it, nor do they want to go after that. Think about it logically. They got Hendon Hooker. They drafted Hendon Hooker. They like Hendon Hooker. Goff, they believe in. You might not believe in Goff. They believe in Goff. And they don't think that Trey Lance is better than Goff. Why would anybody think Trey Lance is better than Goff at this point? Why would anybody believe in Trey Lance, period? He can't even get the number 2 job in San Francisco.
Hey, actually a good landing spot for Trey would be, since we don't know how much time really Rodgers is going to play, 1 or 2 years, New York Jets.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad spot. Hold on a second, Ron. Hold on a second. The Fantasy Football Show. Who's this? Who's this? What's up, Steve-O? Appreciate you dialing in. What did you want to talk about, Steve-O?
Hey, Smitty. Yeah. So no, I'm a diehard Niners fan. I think you know that, but no, I think you are bang on with everything you've been saying. I think it's an absolute joke how they've handled this whole situation, and I could see Trey maybe going to Minnesota as the future plan for when Kirk's done. What are your thoughts on that?
That's, you know what, and as somebody that loves Cousins, we'll let Ron speak to this after, but there's definitely some mutual interest in keeping Cousins long term. There's definitely some interest in moving on, and they've talked about the team has definitely proven both of those things true. So it's not like Cousins is a lock to stay. So that wouldn't be a bad idea to kind of have that plan in place, and then you could go down that road, and if it doesn't work out, move on. I think you could get Trey pretty cheaply. The question is, would Kyle Shanahan trade him for anything less than a first rounder? Because nobody's giving a first rounder for a player that he's not even interested in keeping himself. Like when you make a fantasy trade, guys, tell me I'm wrong, but if you want to trade away Keenan Allen, what is the first thing you do? If you can't use him, you put him in your lineup. You put him in your lineup, and then you send trade offers out. You don't want the person coming back to your team and seeing he's on your bench. You want him in your lineup, and you want to act like, oh, this guy's great. This guy's my wide receiver 2-3. You don't put him on your bench. You don't show your hand. And if any of you are doing that, take a lap. If you trade a player, you need to showcase him. And Kyle Shanahan's doing the exact opposite of showcasing Trey. He's shitting all over Trey. All over Trey. Just completely blasting Trey. Trey can't even start day one of vet camp. This is vet camp right now, vet practice. Vet practice, he can't even start. He's not even starting the first practice. It's Sam Darnold. What does that tell you? They're not getting anything for Trey. I don't even know if they get a second rounder at this point. I really don't. And
yeah, no.
Go ahead.
I honestly couldn't even agree. I couldn't agree more with that. Like, and to your point, like he hasn't even played with CMC, and this guy can't even start the vet camp when he's the only vet QB on their roster as of right now, besides Purdy, obviously.
Yeah. This right here, Trey just might not be it. I mean, he might not be anymore. He might not be anymore. Like that's not to say he couldn't have been. Like there's something to Jalen Hurts escaped what could have been a very bad like a spiral out of control type of situation. He was not trusted by his former coaching staff. His former coaching staff started Jalen Hurts not this past year, obviously not the year before that when he had his first, solid season, where people didn't really believe in him. His first NFL start was like week, I want to say like 11 or 12 or something of his rookie year. He came in, his first NFL start, if I remember correctly, it was like 340 yards or 400 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns. And his second start, which was like week 13 or something, so it was like back-to-back, week 12 and 13, if I remember correctly. He came out through for another 300 yards and another 3 touchdowns, I believe. And then the next game, his third game, he had kind of a rough first half. They benched him. After, and Dynasty Worlds went crazy after those first 2 weeks, rightly so, and then they all dialed back after, and everybody said he was garbage because he got benched. He got benched. When you get benched, it is very, very hard to not let it affect the trajectory of your career. And Trey Lance was started against the Houston Texans, not this past year, the year prior. He won the game. It was a playoff implication game, and Shanahan benched him, pulled him from the lineup, put Jimmy G in, and that ended off in an awful fashion. I don't know that Trey can rebound from this, especially if you add on being benched, being hurt, hearing Brock Purdy's the starter, being told Brock Purdy's the starter, hearing your teammates say this is Brock Purdy's locker room. Like, how does this guy have any confidence left at all? So work for what you got. Maybe this is true now, but this is Kyle Shanahan's fault. If this is true, this is Kyle Shanahan's fault. The last time he started a game prior to the beginning of the season, where he'd already been benched and his confidence was shattered, he went out, played in a mud bowl in week 1. You can't count that Chicago game against him. That was an absolute mud bath. and he broke his ankle in the very beginning of week 2. He only has that Houston Texans win to look at. And so this is Shanahan's fault. All Shanahan's fault. All of it.
I couldn't agree more. Totally disappointing. Like last year when Trey went down, I thought it lowered our chances to like win the Super Bowl by a significant amount. It's just like you said yesterday. It's super depressing just seeing this kid. He's got all the tools, all the talent. He's a good leader. You know, he doesn't point fingers. He takes the blame. Even that game against the Bears there, when he lost, everything in the post-game interview was, I could have done this better. It all starts with me. I should have done this better. He didn't blame nobody. He took all the blame. But no, I totally agree. Completely Shanahan's fault. Super frustrated, man. We're still talking about the Niners QB at this point. It's crazy to me.
And Young says, I'm a big Niner fan and Smitty is turning me against them, LOL. Look, I don't want to turn you against the Niners. I have a lot of Niner followers. And I think if you know me well enough, you know I'm not against the Niners. I'm against Shanahan. It's not me against the Niners. I routinely call the Niners the number 1 or number 2 defense just because I like the Jets defense a lot, and I think they're going to improve. Because the Jets, if you look at the Jets defense and you say they can't be better than the Niners defense, I beg to differ only because we've only seen the Jets defense with a mediocre offense. And when you have a mediocre offense and you can't move the football down the field, your defense is put in different spots and they can't dominate as much. They cascade off each other. And if your offense is moving the football down the field and keeping your defense fresh and off the field, your defense is going to be fire. It's going to be more fire. So watch the Jets improve like double time because they're not on the field as much and the offense is getting the defense in good field position. It works both ways. The defense gets the offense in good field position. The offense gets the defense in good field position. That's the nature of football. And so, but back to what I was saying, Young, I think the Niners have the number 1 or number 2 defense in the National Football League. I think the Eagles and the Niners by far have the best offensive weapons in the National Football League. And there's a lot of teams that have good. Look, the Bengals have amazing weapons. I get it, but this is unbelievable. These 2 units, and the difference is Jalen Hurts is a top 1 to 4 quarterback, and the Niners don't have any signal caller to command all this weaponry. So why even have it? Why even have it? You had a chance to go get Lamar. You didn't even, and they didn't have a first rounder, so they couldn't necessarily make that offer sheet in the beginning, stages before the NFL draft. But they could have maybe discussed how to make a trade with the Ravens later. They had no interest. They had zero interest in going and getting Lamar. Lamar would win the Niners the Super Bowl, Young. If you had Lamar Jackson on that roster, I believe you would win a Super Bowl in 2023. If you had Aaron Rodgers on the roster, I believe you would win a Super Bowl in 2023. I think the Niners are just 1 quarterback away. Problem is, you got a 1 to 2 year window max before this landscape completely changes for the 49ers. You will not even be the same team at all 3 years from now. You have a 1 to 2 year window. Young, don't let me talk you out of being a Niner fan. I am very much a fan of all of my Niner fans. I'm a fan of them. I'm just not a fan of Shanahan. Big difference. Please don't dislike your Niner team because of me. Real quickly, go ahead, Steve-O. You got anything else? Or Ron? Either one?
I just want to say one quick thing. I know how frustrating it can be talking to some Niner fans sometimes with the whole Jimmy G and defending Kyle Shanahan and whatnot. No, I just want to say as a Niner fan, as much as I don't like to hear some of this stuff, it's honestly the truth. And no, you have the nickname on the quad box there, Trey's agent. I know how much you like Trey.
Yeah.
I like Trey a lot too. So no, I appreciate it, and I appreciate how unbiased you are, even though you're a Cards fan. I always think your Niner content is spot on, so I appreciate you, Smitty.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Hey, stay on the line if you can. If you got to work, no problem. But if you want to stay on the line and jump in and out here. Ron, what else you got? And Ron, I know you believe that the Niners are losing week 1 no matter what, just because you've got this bias, thick. I mean, these goggles, these Steeler goggles have to be about that thick. I think your Steeler goggles are more thick than they are wide, if I had to guess. But you're not wrong. Doesn't mean you're wrong. You're wearing these thick goggles, but in week 1, if they roll Sam Darnold out, I'm heading over to Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty on the higher lows, and I'm grabbing the Steelers. And I hate to say that for all my Niner fans out there, but Sam Darnold as your starter, like this is going to be, the Steelers are going to rip him apart. And I know that the Niner defense will try to do their thing too, and they will be pretty successful, I think, rattling the Steeler offense because of the number 1, number 2 defense in the National Football League. Very, very, very tough defense. But guess what? Defenses get worn down. In the third and fourth quarter, if Sam Darnold isn't doing his job, the Niners will start to pick their spots and be able to score points. And guess what you can do against the Niners? If you score 21 points, you can beat them. The Niners are so good at holding teams below like 21 points and winning, but when they don't do that, their offense can't score. They've got Kittle and Ayuk and Debo and McCaffrey, but they've struggled for so many years until Christian McCaffrey. They've struggled to score like 21 points or more. Like, how is Christian McCaffrey going to do all this by himself against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense? He can't. He'll do his best. Ron, talk to him.
Yeah, I mean, everybody thinks it's a pipe dream that the Steelers are going to beat the Niners, but that's what's going to happen. And it doesn't matter to the score because the Steelers are used to playing Baltimore twice a year. We're used to low-scoring games. We're used to pulling out low-scoring games. We're used to fourth-quarter wins. That's just who we are. We more times than not, we come back in the fourth quarter and win those close games. So that's just what it is. The 49ers, they're going to be wore down. They're going to be wore down. They're going to be frustrated. The defense is going to get frustrated because they're going to have to spend a lot of time on the field because Darnold's not going to be able to move them down the field. And,
Darnold. Oh, hey, media.
They're going to be coming up with an excuse they're going to come up with every excuse underneath the Golden Gate Bridge of why they lost that first game. And it'll probably be, it's just the first game. It's like a preseason game. It's like, whatever excuses they use, they'll use.
Yeah. Let's look at a positive take on it. And again, you can feel this way, Jared. I don't want you to think I'm going to come at you if you feel differently than me. I'm only going to be aggressive toward takes that are, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can have this feeling, and I don't blame you for wanting to believe in it. This is honestly, if Jimmy G and Purdy can be top QBs in there, I'm good with Darnold too. He's better than both of those guys. Not saying he's good though. LOL. So I mean, like, you have optimistic expectations, but you're not like your fearless leader beat reporter. What's his name? Matt Maiocco, saying that Darnold might be the most talented thrower in 49ers history, which is just a joke. It's like, how do you read anything else he writes ever again? At that point, it's like, what is he looking at? What is he looking at? You want me to hop on media? Media, we're just dying for it. I've just been waiting. The show hasn't been the same since you got on last, so please come in and save it. You can dial in. The phone number's on screen, media. Call in and tell me that I'm right. I think he says he's agreeing with me in the chat this time. But usually media will say, stop capping Smitty, and then he calls in and goes, no, you're right. The media. Mighty Buffoon, appreciate Mighty Buffoon in here. In 2018, Sam Darnold was drafted before Josh Allen. Still can't believe that happened. Bro, this is Sam Darnold. I remember when Sam Darnold hype was kicking into gear, and I was so against it. I was like, this guy's average. He's a mid. And that term, it wasn't even used back then. I don't know what term I used. Probably this guy is cheeks or whatever. This guy definitely is not a good quarterback. He's a mediocre quarterback. He's in the National Football League. Let's give, I guess, all quarterbacks, even Jimmy G, a little respect and say they're good quarterbacks in the sense of the world. But we're not here to give out second place trophies and everybody gets a ribbon. Like, we're talking about, competitive football. And you're not going to be competitive at the NFL level with Sam Darnold or Jimmy G throwing, just horrible footballs into the dirt. Oscar, you're live on the Fantasy Football Show. Oscar, what can I do for you, pal?
Hey, what up, Smitty?
Hang tight, media. I'll go to you next. Oscar, go ahead.
All right. Hey, I had a question in the chat earlier. One of those membership milestone things, but
I'm sorry.
To call and ask. No, you're good. I didn't have enough space to put the full thing. So long story short, in a Superflex Dynasty League, would you trade Christian Watson and Ramondre Stevenson for Bijan?
Christian Watson for Ramondre Stevenson and who?
So Christian Watson and Stevenson for Bijan.
Wow. Can you give me your team?
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
Don't crash. So C. Watson and Stevenson for Bijan. I'm gonna say in a nutshell, yes, I would. But it does matter. Like, what I don't want you to do is trade into a situation where you've got Bijan, but you don't have enough support around it to win, and then you just kind of like utilize Bijan for 7-8 straight years and never win anything. But in general, I'm going to say I want Bijan. Stevenson, we don't really know what his dynasty value truly is, to be honest. And I like Stevenson in the third round. I like him in the third round, but I don't like him in dynasty near as much, because I don't know what he's going to do in 3 years from now, 2 years from now, 1 year from now. Watson, as much as I love Watson, he's a moon man. We're taking him in like 3.5 to 4th round territory. It's a little bit of an unknown. Bijan is number 1 overall next year. He's almost number 1 now. So like number 1 overall next year, guy could be a force for 5-6 years. This might be a guy that does, play that 28 season that we're always so concerned about. Like, he would be one of those guys that I could see myself going, yeah, he's going to do it again for 20. I don't know. We'll give him 5-6 years, and then we'll take it year to year after that. But I mean, it just depends. Can you win with Bijan? If you do this trade, do you still have enough depth to win? If so, then punch it.
Yeah, I think so. Did you want me to read off?
Just give me your starters. I don't need the whole bench.
Okay. You got Love, Stevenson, Najee, Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, you're good, bro. Smash it.
Olave.
Yeah, Olave. Smash it, bro. You got plenty of depth for this move. Plenty of it. You're gonna have Bijan and Najee, and you got Olave, Amon-Ra, and who else did you say your third receiver was?
Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson. Bro, yeah, smash that. You have the perfect team to do this trade. Like, you can even overpay if you had to. If you said, give me a second rounder, throw it in. Throw in 2 second rounders. Give him a second rounder just for being a good guy and bringing this trade to you. Like as a tip.
Right.
Here's a second rounder.
This
little tip.
Cool. So this same guy also has Gibbs. So I don't know if either or. I just figured if I'm going to be doing 2 for 1, I might as well go for Bijan and go big. But what are your thoughts regarding that?
Like to get Gibbs as well?
No, either or. I mean, I doubt he'd do both for.
I wouldn't do that same deal necessarily for Gibbs. I'm not saying I wouldn't. I have to really ponder it, but I think it's different for Bijan. It's just a different trade. I feel like you definitely I probably wouldn't with Gibbs, even though I love Gibbs. Gibbs is a little bit more of a risk that you've got to bake in, and you're not baking it in if you do that trade. So definitely do it for Bijan. But if you got to throw in something like a couple second rounders, do it, bro. Do it. All right.
Cool.
Appreciate you, man. You can hang tight on the line here if you want, if you got anything else. 49er Media, what say you about your debacle of a quarterback situation there in San Francisco?
Yeah, definitely disappointed just because I've become a really big Trey Lance fan ever since he's gotten drafted, and then I know how much you've obviously loved Trey Lance because from the quad box, you'd be like, Trey Lance to the moon. You'd say so many
he could be
positive
good,
things about him, and it's just so unfortunate. Like, I don't get why he's not getting the chance. Like, the thing is, and this is nothing against Brock Purdy too, but it's like Jimmy Garoppolo, right when he came in, what was it, 2017, I think, right? When we traded for him, he looked great for 5 games. And then look what happens when, he ends up, people got a little bit more film on him. He just doesn't look as good. And so I just don't like to take, such small sample size. But again, Brock Purdy, I don't think is nowhere close to Jimmy Garoppolo. But it's just, man, Trey Lance needs to be given the chance. he needs to be given the chance. He should not have to have anyone behind him. The thing with the Niners is they haven't even said anything about him. They only talk about Brock Purdy and then Sam Darnold, and they don't even talk about Trey Lance. They haven't, like, at least to the media, that they haven't said anything encouraging that, we are fully behind Trey Lance and he's going to get all the first team reps. Like, the Niners just haven't even said that, and that's what the annoying and just sad part about it is.
It's crazy.
I'm definitely agreeing with everything you've said today.
Okay. Yeah, it's crazy that, like, the problem I have, like, if you want to say, tell me in a one sentence or two sentences why Shanahan is horrible with this type of stuff. Not that he's not great in so many other ways. People don't listen to me. They end up saying, well, then why did the Niners do so well? Why have they been to the NFC Championship game? Like, listen to what I'm saying. That he's such a good offensive mind that he somehow, some way figures out how to still, with his weakness, still do well. But if he can master his weakness, like I always tell people in fantasy, turn your weakness into a strength. If Shanahan could at least hand these duties off to somebody else, let John Lynch make all the personnel decisions, and you take your scheme out there and you win with it. Shanahan's a great scheme guy. Yeah. But the one thing I could sum this up and say is that Shanahan, to do what he did with Trey Lance in week 16, or was it week 16 or week 17? You won that Houston Texan game 2 years ago. I think it was
I think week 17.
So week 17, Trey Lance wins this game to get you guys into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. To bench him for Jimmy Garoppolo just shows how incompetent Shanahan is with these types of decisions. It would be different if it was like Goff, somebody that was proven, that was playing well. Mm-hmm. Like Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is who you remove. You traded 3 first-rounders for. If you're going to remove a guy from the lineup after he wins a game that's been waiting to start all year long, and you're going to actually try and potentially damage his confidence, it better be for an amazing quarterback. Like Aaron Rodgers. You draft Aaron Rodgers backup, quarterback, you throw Love in there when Aaron Rodgers is there. Rodgers is back. He can play again. You remove Love. That's different. But to remove Trey Lance from the lineup for Jimmy Garoppolo shows how incompetent he is with these quarterback and personnel decisions. It's ridiculous. And to, in the same sense, in the same sense, not give Trey Lance the keys to the offseason at least. Even if you're in your mind saying, Purdy's our guy. Okay, shut up about it. Let Purdy be your guy in silence. If you can't give Trey Lance the keys over newly acquired, still learning the offense, Sam Darnold, you're doing it again. It's not like you're giving the keys to somebody that's got this great track record that's coming in that makes sense. You're literally shitting all over Trey Lance for Sam Darnold. It's incompetence. And when people defend Shanahan, at least understand what I'm saying. Don't defend him on this topic. You want to defend him overall and say his strengths overwhelm his weakness and we still love Shanahan. I get that, and I can get behind you thinking that. I wouldn't agree with you, but I can get behind you thinking that. But if you're going to defend Shanahan and act like he's making smart personnel decisions in the offseason, I don't know what you're on. Because it's got to be something good. It's got to be what Matt Mayoko's on when he calls Sam Darnold the most talented thrower in 49er history. This beat reporter. Unreal.
Yeah, it definitely is. And the thing is, to me, I think it has to also go with just the amount of the ego Kyle Shanahan has, because that's the biggest thing. Also, I believe that we haven't won a Super Bowl, despite this whole quarterback debacle. It's just, I think he hasn't been able to build that trust with Trey Lance, and it wasn't Trey Lance's fault that he got hurt. You literally ran in Kyle Shanahan. Okay, you're the one who called that play. You're the reason that he probably got hurt, right? You just need to. You got to build that trust, even if it's going to take time. The thing is, you're the one who was the one who selected Trey Lance, right? He was the one who decided to draft Trey Lance.
Give him a shot.
You know you were going to have to be patient with him because Trey Lance has no more or close to the amount of experience as a guy like Brock Purdy.
They really
right?
Yeah.
Trey Lance only had like that one season and then a game and then COVID, right? So the whole season got canceled. And then, yeah, I get that he's raw and you decided to bench him for the first year. But the thing is, he was so raw that he should have been starting from the get-go no matter what. I get that we're like, oh, we're a Super Bowl contender team. But the thing is, now you're just pushing it back more and more. Like this window's, like you were saying, there's only 1 or 2 more seasons of this window.
Yeah, basically Trey Lance, like what I said to you guys on the quad, to everybody on the quad box on when we did the Niners show on this stuff all the time in the offseason. I said that you're going to start Jimmy G and you're going to fall short and it's going to be for nothing. The entire season will be for nothing anyway. If you don't win, if you're not first, you're last. So who cares about going to an NFC championship game? Trey could have been ready. And instead, you tried to win a Super Bowl with Jimmy. You failed, and you wasted that opportunity. And so that's what I was saying the whole time that rookie season. This right here, they really passed on Brady too. This is just one of the many things Shanahan does and did when he said Jimmy Garoppolo. Brady was begging to come to the Niners before he went. Hold on, media. Before he went to Tampa Bay. Brady was begging to come to the Niners, regardless of who was all involved in that. John, Kyle, everybody, the entire Niner organization. Somebody should have pressed the button, an override button, and said, I don't care what any one of you think. We're pressing this button and bringing Tom Brady in. Tom Brady was begging to come to the Niners. Instead, he went to Tampa and immediately the first year won a championship. And this man, or Kyle, or John might have said it, that Jimmy is only marginally lesser than Tom Brady is what we feel, is I think what John worded. So unless Kyle was to come out and refute that, I believe he spoke for everybody when he said that. And that was one of the worst decisions the Niners could have ever made, is because you could have had 1 or 2 championships by now if you brought in Tom Brady. Yeah. All right, hang tight, media. I want to move on to a different topic or potentially someone else. Ron Navy, do you have anything you want to add or anything else you want to talk about? 12:30 p.m. Eastern.
Nope.
Clinton, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We draft when we do draft night. Appreciate you, Clinton, for dropping that. We always draft around midnight to 12:30 Eastern. Tuesday is Panic Chamber, but we do usually do some sort of draft at the end. Any Moonman League news recently? All that's going to be made known very, very soon. I'm still working on the details. What I decided we're probably going to do, as long as all my Moonmen and Marsmen are in agreement, we will create some sort of like D league list of people that will be in a sub-league that has nothing to do with competing with the Marsman or Moonman, to be the alternate if for any reason a Moonman or Marsman drops out. If a Marsman drops out, the second place Moonman will jump into that league. But if we have like a vacancy, then we can pull it from this like third group or whatever. But we'll have to see. I got a peanut butter waivers with a 6 month message here. A happy 6 months, peanut butter and waivers. He says like the stream. Appreciate you for dropping that. Steve-O, you got anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's all. Thanks, Smitty. Appreciate you.
All right, man. Appreciate you, man. 49er Media, any other... what's going to happen with Christian McCaffrey? Because my honest take is that if Sam Darnold's back there under center, McCaffrey's got a much higher likelihood of getting run into the ground and breaking. Because this guy, 2 years ago, media, or a year ago, we were worried about whether this guy could ever play a full season again. And he came out and exploded, and he did amazingly. But from a fantasy football perspective, from just a general casual spectator's perspective, I don't think anybody's sitting here looking at this situation and going, yeah, CMC is going to stay healthy. He's already a concern to stay healthy. He takes care of his body as good as anybody, if not better. I'm really, really excited about Christian McCaffrey whenever he's on the field. I'm not going to lie. I love owning the guy. He's an absolute marvel in fantasy football. But this is a running back room that historically gets injured. This is a quarterback room that historically gets injured. And you could keep saying it's dumb luck all you want, but it's not. It's not, because it continues to happen. And there's some, identifiable reasons in terms of how the scheme blocks and moves around and pulls, and you've got linebackers getting blocked by tight ends and running backs and things that really put the quarterback and the running back in vulnerable positions. And so and you abuse them, you run them into the ground. There's real concern for Christian McCaffrey playing 17 games this year. And if Sam Darnold's your quarterback, that concern is amplified.
The thing is, I'm gonna say I don't even think it completely. Maybe it matters a little bit, but whoever is the starting quarterback, I still expect us to run the ball a lot, because the thing is that's what the Niners do, right? We're a run first offense, pass second offense, right? When we use the pass for the play action, the running game is the main thing of it, and so. Yeah, I think definitely there's concern because, Christian McCaffrey, obviously, like you said, has been hurt for, the majority of his career, unfortunately, has had like a season where, he did play full season, and then luckily this year he was mostly healthy. But honestly, I just think that the Niners are going to run the ball a ton.
He's not going to be wide open. He's not going to be wide open. If Sam Darnold's back there, especially against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, you're going to have, I don't know if Ron's still here, you're going to have that Pittsburgh Steelers defense just completely, trying to shut down Christian McCaffrey, and they say, we dare Sam Darnold to win the game. We dare it. We dare him. Let him do it. Let him do it. Give him single coverage. Give him half coverage. Every wide receiver gets half coverage with Sam Darnold back there. And let's just stack the box against Christian McCaffrey. And I know he catches passes as well. I know he's really slippery. He's such a good player. And he's the kind of guy that can run for 30 yards and catch 60 or 70 yards. But Pittsburgh's going to be eyeballing him everywhere. And I have a bad feeling if Sam Darnold starts week one, even if Trey starts week one, I'm going to be honest with you. As much as I've loved Trey, at this point, I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. Because there's so much negativity and confidence is probably shot, and he's on borrowed time. Not only is he worried about Sam Darnold coming in at halftime, he's worried about Brock Purdy stealing his job guaranteed when Brock Purdy's ready to go. And all they're doing is sending Trey out to get beat up by the Niners in week one so he can look awful, and then they put Sam Darnold in against the Rams, and they go 1-1. You lose game one against the Pittsburgh Steelers with Trey Lance under center, and he gets blasted by one of the better defenses in the National Football League with no confidence. Then you put Sam Darnold in against the Rams, and Trey gets more bad luck with that sort of arrangement. And then Brock Purdy comes in, and you guys win another game, and then it's like Trey Lance is a bust. Trey Lance is a bust. I don't know that even if I knew Trey was starting week one, I don't think I want to own him in fantasy. I don't think I want anything to do with him. And I hate to say that because I've been so high on him.
I don't blame you.
But he's ruined. I feel like Shanahan ruined him.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. That's what it stings too, because it's like, man, we thought, okay, once you draft Trey, we're not going to have to talk about the quarterback position.
You shouldn't have.
Yet.
You shouldn't have talked about it.
We're having to talk about it. That's literally what we talk about the entire offseason, like the past
Jimmy.
So
Jimmy should have been
I don't
cut.
like how we've been handling this either. But we'll see. But I do have to.
All right, media.
Go. But
yeah. All right, media. Appreciate you, man.
You for letting me hop on.
Yep. Later, pal. Okay. Anybody else want to dial in and discuss any of this? Dial in, or if you want to discuss something else, we're probably not going to be here much longer. Please punch that thumb up button on your way in the door. We got 84 thumbs up. We've got 127 eyeballs in here. This is crazy. I mean, this is just a horrible situation for I think all the players involved in this Niner and Raider situation. Now, granted, the Niners defense is so good. It's different than Jimmy G's situation. Jimmy G can't go out there and manufacture production, whereas Darnold or Trey can manufacture something. Like, I'm not saying that McCaffrey's going to bust, and I fear he's going to get hurt. I'm not saying that Debo's unusable. I'm still drafting him like clockwork in the 4th round because he can still run the ball, catch the ball. But consistency is going to be shot a little bit. in my opinion, if there's this quarterback rotation. Number one, Trey is potentially a limited playbook. That's the way Shanahan deals with them. Darnold, we don't even know what to expect. I expect failure. Purdy in there is the best shot for this offense to fire on all cylinders. McCaffrey to get on point. Debo wasn't even used a ton with consistency when Purdy was in there, though, so we do worry about that. Kittle, definitely Purdy can extend plays long enough for Kittle to run a route. And so Purdy is the answer for sure if Purdy is healthy. But I worry about Purdy getting shoved out there too early by the same coach that shoved him back out onto the field after he exited the game with the torn UCL. Hey, my UCL is completely shot. They knew it was shot. They knew he tore his UCL. He couldn't even throw the ball 2 or 3 feet. He was like, oh my God, my UCL is completely torn. Hey, our quarterback just got a concussion. I know we just removed you because it was the right thing to do to take you out of the game. You can't throw the football. But guess what? Now you got to go back out there and damage your UCL even more. Let's crank that swelling up to a 10 so that you have to wait a month and a half to have surgery. That's what I'm going to do with you. Debo going to demand a trade to the Dolphins or Eagles mid-season, says Frank. If things don't go well and this team unravels, don't think that this team can't go the route of either the Niners from last year, back to glory, or the other direction. Keep in mind, the Rams won the Super Bowl with the best team in football. And everybody can make fun of the Rams right now and say, the Rams are garbage, Smitty. Don't call the Niners the Rams. The Rams won the Super Bowl, and walking into that next season, even Niner fans said, this is the favorite. We're going to knock them off. We're going to beat them, but they are the favorite. The Rams unraveled. They unraveled around the quarterback decline and fall and breakdown. And obviously Cooper Kupp. Don't think that can't happen. Don't think that can't happen to any team. Any team can unravel at any moment. How talented is Darnold when Aaron Donald is trying to power clean him and press him in warm-up reps? I don't know. Debo in the sixth round pick at best. Debo's not falling to the 6th round. He goes in the 3rd, and if you're lucky, he'll fall to the 4th round. So there's no way he's falling that far, so you probably won't own him, and I don't blame you. But Debo's a 3rd to 4th round pick, probably 3rd. Let's see, they're not trading Debo, says Cincy Kid. Cincy Kid's not wrong here, Frank, because the dead cap hit for Debo is insane. So a Debo trade's probably not going to happen. Here's Debo Samuel contract. So Frank, you got to look at this before you say something like that, because it's not gonna. It may sound good and may feel like it's something that could happen, but here's the dead cap hit on Debo. Debo's dead cap is insane. If they were to move on from him in 2024, dead cap is $26 million. Here's his dead cap for the next 3 years. Okay. Which basically tells you he's not. They're not moving on from him. Debo Samuel. I mean, anything's possible, but Debo Samuel, if they cut him this offseason, there'd be a $35 million dead cap. Or if they cut him now, if they cut him, which they won't. If they cut him in 2024, he'd be 26 or trade him. I'm not saying they cut him. Sorry, trade him. In 2025, there's a $15 million dead cap. They can't afford that $26 million in dead cap to even trade him. Potential out in 2025, though, would be $15 million in dead cap. That would be their out. But Debo Samuel isn't going anywhere because his dead cap is insane. No way. No way. Same thing with, what is Kirk Cousins' dead cap? That's one reason why a Kirk Cousins trade is hard to imagine. Kirk, and was all offseason long, even though it was rumored. Contract, I think his is an astronomical amount of dead cap as well. Kirk Cousins' dead cap. Jeez. This is what was crazy about all the Kirk Cousins to a different team talk this offseason. And I didn't understand why it was such a big topic. But here's Kirk Cousins' contract. And there was just no way he was getting traded or cut, in my opinion. I don't think there was a chance of it. 2023, if he was traded or cut, $48.7 million in dead cap. That's just the highest thing I've ever seen. And in 2024, what's the out on this one? It's $28 million, but let me see real quickly. 2024 automatically void. full no contract clause. I'm trying to figure out. So I think they have this out in 2024 potentially. Yeah. So his dead cap, at a certain point will be $28 million. But Kirk Cousins is just getting rid of him wasn't an option. But I do believe the Vikings are exploring, like what can they do next year to not go down that road? Because it's almost like you're putting more, you're upside down in your car and you roll it into a new car. Kirk Cousins feels like they're putting more and more. They're putting more and more. They had to restructure his contract and they put more money on that dead. Like they couldn't get rid of him. It was like just an upside down car. But obviously he's playing well. Not saying they want to get rid of him. I'm just saying they talked about it and they couldn't. There's no way to trade him. They couldn't trade him if they wanted to. So now they after this year they'll potentially look into what avenues they want to go. Whether they want to extend Cousins on a better deal for them, a more team-friendly deal, or will they move on to a different quarterback? Will they try and trade for Trey Lance? That was a topic somebody brought up earlier. It was a very good suggestion. All right, I'm out of here. I will see. Oh, who's on the phone right here? Steve-O, you're still there. Steve-O, I'm sorry, bro. You got anything else?
No, you're good. I'm still here, yeah. I'm just listening in.
Okay, what else you got before I bump you off? Anything else?
Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah, as much as I hate to say it, I actually agree with Ron Navy and with you. If Darnold's starting week 1, I can't sit here and tell you the Niners are a lock to win. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I trust Darnold.
Yeah. I feel like the Niner defense is good enough to win the game. So, I don't know how much I would put on it, but I certainly feel like if Sam Darnold's starting, this is going to end in disastrous fashion. But to be honest with you, bro, and I know you don't want to hear this, and I said it already, though, I don't know that I feel like Trey is set up to win. Like, even if he goes into the lineup, I just feel like shoving him out there against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, and you can't make excuses for him. I mean, Raj and I talked about this on his live the other day. You can't make excuses for him. This is why you brought him in, and he's got to step up. But the problem is I just don't know if he's there in a mental space to do it against a Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So similar to Chicago, I mean, what crappy luck does this kid have? He gets pulled from the lineup after winning against the Texans. Jimmy loses it all, and they come into the next season. He starts against Chicago in the mud. And then he breaks his ankle the second game in the rain, in San Francisco in the rain. He can't catch a break. Now he goes into Pittsburgh. I mean, remember what Pittsburgh did to Joe Burrow in week 1? Joe Burrow was getting rocked in week 1. Now, granted, the Bengals have a better offensive line. I think they'd be more prepared for that scenario. But Joe Burrow got rocked. Like, you think Sam Darnold or Trey Lance is going to do well against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense? Not that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense won't, or that the Niner defense won't give the Pittsburgh offense, some trouble. They will. It'll probably be a 7-3 game. It's probably gonna be the lowest scoring game of the week, unless the Niner defense just scores all kinds of points, or the Pittsburgh defense scores all kinds of points and scores 21 points just on D. I don't know, bro. I don't believe Trey Lance is going to succeed in San Francisco no matter what at this point. I don't care if they start him anymore. I'm not in. I'm all out. I'm out on every single Niner quarterback. I want nothing to do with it. And when someone says, hey, honestly, should I get Purdy and Trey together? No, because I don't know if Sam Darnold is the guy. Hey, should I get Sam Darnold and Purdy together? No, because I don't know if Trey might somehow start 2 or 3 games. I want nothing to do with it. Nothing.
No, I agree. Even though I want Trey to succeed, obviously, no, I don't think he will at this point. It's been too long. Like you said, nothing's really gone well for him. But no, just with Darnold being in, it worries me a lot more with CMC that Kyle's gonna run him into the dirt. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like, I honestly, that scares me. Like you said, Pittsburgh's gonna key in on CMC, and Shanahan likes to run RBs into the dirt, so that worries me even more.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, you got the best defense, or one of the top 2 defenses in the National Football League. You got the most amazing, offensive weaponry around. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about if you're a Niner fan, but I'd be so frustrated as a Niner fan. every year.
Oh, for sure. No. I love the team. We're in an all right situation,
Yeah.
or we have been in the last while. But, yeah, no, it's just this whole QB situation has just been – they pooched it right from the word go, so it's just not super frustrating, man.
Yeah. All right, my man. Appreciate you.
All right, for
Call in
sure.
anytime. Later.
For sure, man.
I feel bad for Niner fans. I really do. Because they're some of the more loyal fans in the football space. They really are. And they have to deal with this quarterback carousel every single offseason. You trade 3 first-rounders for a guy. You think you're over that. You think finally we got a quarterback. Finally we got our quarterback. 3 first-rounders. That better be your quarterback. Unreal. See you guys all later. I should have a Bijan Robinson video dropping before the show tonight. I don't even know if I'll get it done in time. It might be something I do at the beginning. I might premiere it at the beginning of the show. The 7 p.m. show. Later. Just want to say thank you to Overcome. Overcome, hang tight on the Moo Man stuff. Appreciate you. What time is the live draft tonight? The live draft tonight. We're not doing live drafts necessarily. We're doing the Panic Chamber, but this would have been a good Panic Chamber. I should have just did Panic Chamber on this. But I'll try and find some new players. I won't try and rehash these topics tonight. Young, appreciate you, my guy. And Clinton dropping that. Appreciate you, Clinton. See you all tonight. Appreciate you.
Leave it on the fields.
Just in time.
Fields of dreams.
Feels like making love.
Outstanding in his fields.
Feels so good.
Fields General.
My field's good. Uneven playing fields.
Battlefields tested.
Fields. He's for reals.